this first problem here, we have 11 plus negative 3. So we're adding a negative number, which is the same thing as what? Subtracting, right? So adding a negative is the same thing as subtracting. So this is really the same thing as 11 minus 3, which would be what? 8. All right, so the trick to that one is just recognizing that when you add a negative, it's really just subtracting. All right, the next one, we're subtracting a negative. So we have 3 minus negative 2. All right, what does that mean? Subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding. So what I would do here is circle those two negatives and make it a plus. And a lot of you don't like to do this, but this will be really helpful. I would just rewrite it. So this is the same thing as negative 3 plus 2. Okay, now, with this rewritten, it's really easy to see that I have some negatives and I have some positives. When we have negatives and positives, are they going to combine or are they going to cancel? They're going to cancel, so we subtract, right? Okay, so what is 3 minus 2? 1, and is that going to be a positive 1 or a negative 1? Negative because the 3 is bigger and the 3 is negative, right? Okay. This one here looks like negative 8 minus 7, is that right? No, it's not. It kind of looks like it, but it's negative 8 times 7 because the 8 is right next to the parentheses. All right, so it's going to be negative 8 times negative 7. Forget about the negatives. What's 8 times 7? 56. If you don't know that, you don't have a calculator, you can use your multiplication chart. Yes. Is this going to be a positive 56 or negative 56? Positive. So when we're multiplying, a negative times a negative is a positive. What if one of them was negative and the other one was positive? Then it would be negative. Okay, good. Down here we're dividing, right? The fraction means division. So 54 divided by 6 is 9. All right, and is that going to be a positive 9 or a negative 9? Positive. Just like multiplication, when we have a negative and a negative, we get a positive answer. Okay, those negatives basically just cancel each other out. We're going to need a little more space for these, so I'm going to clear this out here. For this one, it's a subtraction problem, right? Okay, but they're big numbers. So what am I going to do to help organize this? Libby? We're going to stack them, and we're going to put the bigger number on top. So when we subtract, we always want the bigger number on top. Now, when I subtract here, I'm going to subtract it 2, 3, 4, 9. What's the problem with the way I just wrote this? Yeah, the decimal places aren't lined up, right? So this 5 here is in the ones place, the 9's in the ones place, but they're not lined up. The 2 is in the thousands place, but it's lined up with the 10,000s place here. So we need to make sure that when we are subtracting and when we're adding, we have our decimal places lined up. So we've got the ones, the tens, hundreds, thousands, and then 10,000s. All right, so then starting in, are we going to start with the 10,000s place or are we going to start with the ones place? The ones. All right, 5 minus 9 is? Can't do it, so what are we going to have to do? Going to have to borrow. So we're going to borrow from that 1 in the tens place, make it a 0, and make the 5 a 15. All right, what is 15 minus 9? 6. Okay. Then we go to the next place, the tens place. 0 minus 4 is?
6. Oh, wait, no.
Well, yeah. Exactly. So that would give us a negative. We can't do that, so we're going to have to borrow again. So we're going to borrow from the 7 in the hundreds place and make it a 6 and make this a 10. So now we can do 10 minus 4, right? Mm-hmm. Which is? 6. Okay, then in the hundreds place, we have 6 minus 3. We can do that one, right? Mm-hmm. What would that be? 3. And then in the thousands place, we have 2 minus 2, which is 0. Do I even have to write it there if it's a 0? Yes. Yeah, I still need it there. What if that was it? What if the answer looked like this? No. Then would we need it? No. But there's more to it, right? So we need to go over to the 10,000s place. We have 1 minus nothing, or 1 minus 0, which is 1. So we get 10,366. What type of problem is this next one? Multiplication. Again, the numbers are pretty big. I can't do that in my head, so we're going to have to stack it. Does it matter which number goes on top? Okay, it really doesn't matter, but one way is going to be more work than the other. You guys know which way would be easier? The bigger number on top. All right, so it would be easier with a 249 on top. We would get the same answer with a 37 on top, but it would be a little bit more work that way. So we'll have 249 times 37, and what do we do? What do we start with? We're going to start with the 3 or the 7? The 7. All right, so we're going to start with the 7, and we're going to multiply the 7 times the 249. We're going to multiply it by the whole thing. So starting with the ones place, 7 times 9 is? 63. So we'll put our 3 there and carry the 6. Then we have 7 times 4, 28, and then add on 6, 34. So carry the 3. 7 times 2. If you don't know, you can use your multiplication chart, right? 7 times 2 is 14, plus the 3 that we carried is 17. All right, so I'm done with the 7, right? One thing I like to do when I carried some stuff is scratch that out so I don't accidentally use it later, because we're done with those. All right, now we're going to move over to the 3 in the tens place. There's one little trick that we need to make sure we remember when we're multiplying by a number in the tens place. What's that? We need to start in the tens place, exactly. So our first number is going to be here, so we're going to put a 0 in there in the ones place. So we're multiplying by something in the tens place, we have to start in the tens place. All right, so we'll just throw our 0 in there to remind ourselves of that. What is 3 times 9? 27, so we've got our 7 there and carry the 2. 3 times 4?
12.
Plus 2? 14, carry the 1. 3 times 2? Plus the 1? 7. Now what? Add it up. So 3 plus 0 is 3. 4 plus 7 is 11. So we carry the 1. 4 plus 7 is 11. Plus the 1 is 12. Carry the 1. 1 plus 7. 8 plus 1. 9. So we get 9,213. In this problem, we're doing division. It could also, if we're doing division, it might also look like this. So instead of a divided by 7 like that, it might be a fraction. That means the same thing, right? But for this big number here, we're going to have to do what? Long division. So we need to use that hat. So we're going to do 30,639 divided by 7. Which number goes on the inside? The first number, right? So the 30,639 goes on the inside, and then the 7 goes on the outside. All right? Does 7 go into 3?
No.
Does it go into 30? Yes. How many times? 4. Okay. You can use your multiplication chart to help with that too. If you just look across the 7 row, the biggest number you get to that's less than 30 is 28. So that's in the 4 column. So you know it goes into it 4 times. 4 times 7 is 28. I just told you that, right? And so that gives us a remainder of 2. Now what? Bring down that next number, the 6. Okay, so now we're going to do 7 into 26. How many times? 3. 3 times 7 is 21. Find the difference there, and we get 5. Now what? Bring down the 3. Okay, 7 goes into 53. How many times? What'd you say? 7. So if you look at your multiplication chart in the 7 row, you get over to 49, which would be 7 times 7. So we get, it goes into it 7 times. 7 times 7 is 49. We subtract that and get, I think I heard somebody say it, 4. Okay, then what? Okay, we got one more. Bring down the 9. How many times does 7 go into 49?
7.
7. It goes into it 7 times evenly, right? So since it goes into it 7 times evenly, we can just put a box around it if you want. If you want to show that there's a remainder of 0, what would we do? 7 times 7 is 49. I'm going to put this in a different color. And then subtract that to show the remainder is 0. You don't have to do this last part that's in pink because we know it went into it evenly, but it doesn't hurt to do that. But don't forget to box your answer. So we get 4,377. So in this last one here, we need to make sure we do order of operations. So in the order of operations, what comes first? Parentheses. So inside of those parentheses, what are we going to do? So we actually have to do order of operations within the parentheses. So inside of the parentheses, just this stuff right here, what do we do first? Okay, so actually we have addition, we have division, and we have subtraction, but we don't do the division first because that's part of a fraction, right? So before I can divide, what am I going to have to do with these? I'm going to have to add these and subtract these, right? I need to simplify those. So the very first thing I'm going to do is the 3 plus 6 here and the 4 minus 1 here. What is 3 plus 6?
9.
9. What's 4 minus 1? 3. So we get 9 over 3 for that. Everything else I'm just going to bring down as it is. So inside the parentheses I have that 2 there. And then the square is still on the outside of the parentheses. And 3 minus that. All right, is everybody okay with that? Okay. Now we're still inside the parentheses. What are we going to do next? Are we going to add or are we going to divide? Now we can divide, right? So now we're going to do the division, the 9 divided by 3, and get 3. And again, everything else is just going to come down. So we've got the 2 plus 3 in parentheses, we've got the square there, and the 3 out front. Okay, we still have to do what's in parentheses, but there's only one thing left to do, right? Okay, we need to add what's in the parentheses. So 2 plus 3 is 5. All right, we still need to bring everything else down, so that square is still there. Do I need the parentheses anymore? No, we can put them there if we want, but we don't need those anymore because we're done with everything that's in the parentheses. And so we get that. Okay, now should I do 3 minus 5? No. So once we do the parentheses, then we need to do the exponents. So we have an exponent, the square there. So what is 5 squared? 25. And we still have that 3 minus out front. All right, so then all we have to do is 3 minus 25. The 3 is positive or negative? Positive. The 25 is negative. So when we have a positive and a negative, they're going to combine or cancel. They're going to cancel, so we subtract. What is 25 minus 3? 22. And is that a positive 22 or negative 22? Negative.